Now, Asian markets traded mixed as investors remained cautious ahead of the Federal Reserve's annual Jackson Hole symposium, where Fed Chair Jerome Powell is due to speak. And as a result, over in the Asian side of things, the Nikkei in Japan falling 0.3% lower. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong down about 0.1% in late afternoon trade. And Chinese mainland shares in this particular case bucking the trend in this setting where we did see those markets rise. Looking at what's happening in Europe, they were muted. And again, it's that caution that's prevailing ahead of Fed Chair Jerome Powell's remarks later this afternoon. Broader market little unchanged and remaining on track for a 7th straight month of gains, which could be the longest streak in 8 years. And when we look at those particular markets, FTSE, German DAX and the French CAC marginally lower. Looking at the US side of things, stock futures rising in early trade, with investors also expecting consumer sentiment figures to be released. To look back at the week that was, to talk about this event that we've all been looking forward to, we are joined by our market watcher, and that is Michael Traherne from Vestec Asset Management. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I mean, this event has been in our diary, in our calendars for weeks. We've been talking about it, the repercussions, what will happen and what that means. Is it a case where at the back of your mind you're hoping that today doesn't disappoint you?
I suppose it depends what you're looking out for. But Jackson Hole is the big monetary policy event every year. It's the focus of where you've got lots of academics coming together, you've got lots of industry people coming together, discussing a lot of market-moving things, and then giving a summary at the end. What the market's particularly looking out for is what is the general consensus around inflation going forward, and then by extension, what is the expectation around interest rates, and also indirectly what's going to happen with the US's continuing QE program. Does Jay Powell announce that they're going to slow down the program, or does he announce that they're going to continue with the same as they have been? One way you're going to see the dollar weaken, and the other way you're going to see the dollar strengthen. So expect a bit of market volatility, but I wouldn't expect too much. I think the market already has priced in a lot of what is going to come out.
Looking at global markets right now, appearing mixed, is that same feeling transcending into the JSE as well?
Yes, last week was very, very choppy for global markets, particularly given any market that had exposure to Chinese companies. Obviously, South Africa through Naspers and Tencent is heavily exposed, and we went from close to 70,000 points to 66,000 points last week. This week we've recovered some of it. We've gone from 66 to almost 68,000. So at least it's a green week. We can't complain about that. Up.
So earlier we had Massmart releasing their numbers and also highlighting that the liquor ban costed about 770 million rand in lost sales. What did you make of the figures, and does that indicate for you that the CEO, Mitch Slepp, has his work cut out for him in terms of, returning the retailers' fortunes to what might be, accepted by the market?
Yes, so the numbers showed lots of difficulty for the group. At a store level, they make profits of about 600 million, but then they have debt repayments of 800 million. So it's they cash flow negative, and that doesn't look like it's going to change in the near term. There's a massive reorganization of the group underway where they're selling non-core assets. Last week, Friday, I think it was, we saw ShopRite announce that they're going to buy some of the Massmart assets. So it's a lot in the pipeline. They've got good brands in good locations, so they can make it work, but I don't think it's going to happen in the short term. Talking of the liquor ban, they did note that in this 6 months, sales of liquor is up 50% compared to the 6 months last year. I think it shows people hoarding booze at home. And then Distel in their results yesterday said that people were hoarding booze and then they ended up drinking more than they expected because it was at home. So I don't know how much the liquor bans helped people consume less alcohol.
Right. So while we had Massmart, Discovery also released their trading statement, and their financials come out on September 2nd. What will you be looking for when you look at Discovery's performance?
So Discovery's trading update is very detailed, and this was the case today. They did note that one of their biggest divisions, which is their life insurance division, COVID cost it 2.6 billion rand this year, where last year it was only 1.1 billion. They do note that the UK business has done a lot better than the South African business, and that's because of an increased vaccination rate in the UK. Even though they've seen high cases in the UK, that hasn't translated into high mortality numbers. And that's obviously the metric that counts for Discovery, given their life insurance and health insurance businesses. So, I think when the results come out next week, just more detail on each of their business units. Adrian Gore's always got a brilliant investor presentation for us, full of insights, and I look forward to going through it.
Right, so it's only 1:30 now. The trading day hasn't ended, but how would you characterize the week that was if you had to review it? What were some of the highlights or themes that came through for you?
I think as what we touched on is the focus this week has been on the Fed and Jackson Hole. And that's a very big driver because it drives the US dollar, which then is underlying in the commodity market. It drives interest rates, which then moves share prices. And because of that, that's been the focus of the week. And I think next week is going to be spent processing what comes out of Jackson Hole on the weekend.
All right, so before I let you go, your colleague Bright always has what he calls his fun fact, where he shares something fun. I've got a fun question for you. If you were flushed with Monopoly money and you wanted to entertain the speculator in you, what would you be buying?
Sure. I'm not a speculator.
Just entertain the speculator in you, just for a second.
I don't know. Let's go with Distel because they're going to get bought out soon at a nice markup with Heineken.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time. That is Michael Traherne from Vestec Asset Management talking to us about the week that was and how, of course, markets are looking forward to the Jackson Hole meeting that is set to take place later today. Also, key remarks from Fed Chair Jerome Powell.